The mountains have always been symbols of beauty, power, and adventure, but they also hide a darker side where a single mistake, exhaustion, or storm can turn triumph into tragedy. In this video, we will show you 6 of the most heartbreaking mountain deaths of the last 5 years. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to our channel Fiasco Stories, where we uncover real stories of ambition, fate, and disaster. Now, let's begin. Guanjing, the fall on K2. K2, often called the Savage Mountain, is the second highest peak in the world, rising to 8,611 meters. It is more dangerous than Everest. Its slopes are steeper, its weather more unpredictable, and its history marked with tragedy. For every 4 people who summit K2, one never returns. In August 2025, Chinese climber Guanjing, 37 years old, reached the top of this unforgiving peak. She had spent years training and dreaming of this moment, and finally, she stood at the very summit. Photos from that day showed her smiling, exhausted but victorious. But in mountaineering, the summit is only half the journey. Exhausted, she began the long descent. Near Camp 1, a sudden rockfall, stones loosened by melting ice tore down the slope with devastating speed. She had no chance to escape. Struck by the falling debris, Guan lost her life on the mountain she had conquered only hours before. Her death was a painful reminder that on mountains like K2, danger waits not only on the way up, but even more so on the way down. The Dhaulagiri disaster, 5 Russian climbers. Dhaulagiri, in Nepal, is the 7th highest mountain in the world at 8,167 meters. It is notorious for its avalanches and steep ridges. Its name means White Mountain, but for climbers, it is often called the Mountain of Storms. In October 2024, a team of 5 Russian climbers attempted to summit without Sherpa support. They carried their own gear, fixed their own ropes, and relied only on each other. It was a bold decision, but also a dangerous one, as around 7,700 meters, one climber slipped. Because they were roped together, his fall dragged the others with him. In seconds, all 5 were gone, pulled down the icy face of the mountain. Helicopters later spotted their bodies frozen in the snow. Their death shook the mountaineering community because it showed just how unforgiving Dhaulagiri can be. One small mistake at that altitude, and no amount of experience can save you. A single mistake cost 5 lives. Shisha Pangma avalanche, 4 lives lost. Shisha Pangma, the 14th highest mountain on Earth, lies in Tibet at 8,027 meters. It is considered one of the more approachable 8,000-meter peaks. But this reputation is misleading, because Shisha Pangma is also notorious for avalanches. On October 7, 2023, climbers from different countries were pushing toward the summit. The air was thin, the snow unstable. At 7,800 meters, disaster struck. A huge slab of snow broke loose, triggering an avalanche that swept across the mountain. Among those killed were American climber Anna Gutu and her Sherpa guide, Mingma. Another American, Gina Azusidlo, and her guide, Tenjin Lama, were also buried and never found. What makes this tragedy even more heartbreaking is that both Anna and Gina were competing to become the first American woman to climb all 14 of the world's 8,000-meter peaks. Both lost their lives on the same mountain, on the same day. Silad Suhajda, alone on Everest. Mount Everest, at 8,849 meters, is the highest mountain in the world. But above 8,000 meters lies the death zone, where the human body begins to shut down. Without bottled oxygen, survival becomes a race against time. In May 2023, Hungarian climber Silad Suhajda, aged 40, attempted Everest without supplemental oxygen. For him, it wasn't about being first, it was about climbing in the purest style possible. He had already summited K2, Broad Peak, and lots without oxygen. Everest was his final challenge. but somewhere above 8,700 meters, Syl had disappeared. He was last spotted on May 25th, moving slowly near the summit ridge. Then he was gone. Despite search efforts, no trace was found. He vanished into Everest's icy silence. For a Hungary, his death was devastating. He had been the nation's best-known mountaineer. His story is a reminder of the razor-thin line between greatness and tragedy on the world's highest mountain. Natalia Nogovitsina, trapped on Victory Peak. Victory Peak, or Pic Pobeda, is the highest mountain in the Tian Shan range, standing at 7,439 meters. It is known for brutal storms and deadly cold. Many climbers who attempt it never come back. In August 2025, Russian mountaineer Natalia Nogovitsina reached the summit. At 47 years old, she had climbed more than 30 peaks since she began mountaineering in 2016. Her story was already marked by tragedy. In 2021, her husband Sergei had died on Tengri, and Natalia had stayed with him until his final moments. On Victory Peak, disaster struck during the descent. Natalia slipped and broke her leg at about 7,200 meters. She could not move on her own. Other climbers gave her food and a stove, and she tried to wait for rescue. But the mountain showed no mercy. Temperatures dropped below -30 degrees Celsius, storms raged, and helicopters failed to reach her. One rescuer, Italian climber Luca Sinigaglia, even lost his life trying to bring supplies. Drone footage later showed what seemed like an arm waving from her tent, giving a spark of hope. But that hope faded. By late August, there was no sign of life. Natalia was gone, left behind in the frozen silence of Victory Peak. Her story is one of devotion to the mountains, but also of the harsh truth. On peaks like Pobeda, rescue is often impossible. The North Cascades tragedy, Washington State. On May 10th, four climbers set out before sunrise to climb North Early Winter Spire in Washington's North Cascades. They were Vishnu Irigiridi, 48, Alexander Martinenko, 36, Tim Nguyen, 63, and Anton Slik, 38. They started their climb around 6 a.m., moving through steep snow and technical rock. By late afternoon, after more than 11 hours on the mountain, they reached the col between the spires. Tired, low on daylight, and with snow flurries beginning, they decided to turn back. The descent was slow. Using ropes, they rappelled down the couloir, but when it came time to set another anchor, they struggled to find a safe spot. Eventually, they clipped into a single piton, a thin piece of metal hammered into the rock years earlier. Without questioning it, they trusted their lives to that one point. As the first climber leaned back to rappel, the piton ripped free. In an instant, all four were pulled off the wall, tumbling hundreds of feet down snow and rock. Three of them, Vishnu, Alexander, and Tim, did not survive. Only Anton Slik lived through the fall. He was knocked unconscious, badly injured, and when he woke, he found himself alone in the dark, without even a headlamp. Somehow, he managed to descend the mountain through the night and reach help the next morning. It was a tragic reminder of how unforgiving the mountains can be, where a single decision, a single piece of gear, can mean the difference between life and death. 6 stories, 6 tragedies, 6 lives that ended in the mountains they loved. From Keita to Everest, from Shisha Pangma to Victory Peak, these stories remind us that the mountains are not ours to conquer. We walk on their slopes as visitors, and sometimes the price of that visit is everything. The mountains are breathtaking, but beauty can kill. And in the end, no matter how high you climb, the mountain always has the final word.